And the reason why I'm painting it with a dystopian view is probably because I live in Canada. Like there's a bill right now being debated in the House of Commons right now, or the Senate, wherever they debate these type of bills. It's called Bill C-26 for anybody who wants to look it up. But the scary part of this bill is it gives the government power without any sort of legal discretion to take the internet away from any Canadian citizen permanently if they deem you a threat to the country, right? So say if you disagree with a vaccine or you disagree with a current whatever, they can take your access from your bank account, your ability to go to work, and your ability to communicate with people in a blink of an eye and make it permanent. Like as long as you live in Canada, you don't get on the internet. And so with the rapid advance of AI, I can't help but see those two things being used hand in hand. And it's scary to me, to think that like our government, and there's still people, I don't know if you heard about this, but like during the trucker protest, the government froze a bunch of bank accounts of people who were protesting. Some people still have their bank accounts frozen. They're still fighting to get their bank accounts reactivated. Like this is 3 years later, and people are still fighting for their bank accounts back. That is insane to me. Yeah. Or 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago. So like, and it was already found, our government has found Trudeau, basically his use of the Emergency Act was illegal. Like what he did was completely illegal, but yet he won't be punished for it, but people who were punished illegally are still being punished. So it's like, so what's the point of having a legal system if even the legal system agrees with you, still can't fix the problem? The crimes are still happening,
Yeah.
Like that's what scares me, So that's why I don't want to sound like too scary about it, but I get nervous having a daughter growing up in this world. I'm not sure what to get advice to give her. I might just have to ask her for advice. I have to get her to guide me through it.
Well, there will come a day. Yes, there'll come a day when that happens. I don't know what to tell you, Chris. We're the same here. I don't think we've got a right wing. I would say probably by most standards, it's not as right wing as you can get. But it's certainly a right-wing government. It's very strong on immigration and things like that, But we have similar things happen here, all kinds of crap. I just noticed recently there's all these videos about nuclear war, and I subscribe to this thing called YouGov, which does polls every so often. So every couple of days they ask me questions about stuff, And being the kind of person I am, I love anything that asks me questions. If you ask me a question, I'll be off. I'm off in my own little world for the next 10 minutes. But as you've probably noticed. But so they ask you questions on various things, and the last thing I was doing was, what would you do in the case of a nuclear war? What? Where's this come from? Are we and what do you think the chances are of nuclear war in the next 5 years? And I was like, well, I hope it's zero. Until now I thought it was zero, but now that you're asking the question, I'm not so sure. But apparently more than 50% of British people think there'll be a nuclear war in the next 5 years.
Well, I can see why.
Where's
based on the media hype?
Yeah, it must be. I don't look at any media now. I don't go on Twitter. I don't go on Facebook. I don't look at Google News. I have my own news feed, which is music and games, and that's what I get. I don't look at any of this stuff. I don't have any of the political stuff. It just comes to me by accident through other things. But that kind of floored me. I thought we'd got past that. Do people really think that Russia is going to bomb the UK? To what end would they do? To what would be the purpose of that? Because Putin's mad. Well, if you believe Putin's mad, then anything's possible. Maybe Putin will invade the moon because he's mad. Maybe he'll shower us with jelly cakes because he's mad. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, that's...
People are so... And the other one was, which I had to stop and think about. Do you think it's right that people should use their mobile phones in public? And I thought...
Well, where else to use them?
What is the purpose of a mobile phone other than to use it in public? What? But more than 50% of people thought it was unacceptable to use your phone in a public place. I could not get my head around that one. I just can't get my head around that one. Where is this coming from?
That's a weird one.
This is like the fear culture. That's what we've got here. You've got it there, no doubt, as well. In America, it's big. It's keep them scared. You can manipulate them. As long as they're scared, they'll do anything. I think that must be what it is. If you're threatened with nuclear annihilation, you'll do anything, won't you, to get around that? So we have to have Trident. That's our nuclear deterrent. Deterrent to what? Yeah, but it's the world is crazy. I can't cope with it anymore. Every time I get a dose of the real world, I cringe and I just go, oh no. I'll just go and make some music or something, or play a game, or listen to Chris or something, because this is too much. I can't cope with this. My wife's plugged in though. She's plugged in. She's still big on Scottish independence, so she's plugged into the whole sort of the UK political scene. So I get stuff from her as well, so she tells me all the latest things that are happening, and I'm going, yeah, trying not to listen, trying to be polite, but at the same time trying to get her to understand. I don't want to know, but yeah, it's all that stuff. I feel so divorced from it now, I really do, which is a good thing, I think, for me, because I'm a bit like yourself, probably. You get kind of, it's not exactly you get blinkered, but you get involved in it in a way that has no release. What can you do? What can you do with all of that sort of stuff? I don't know. Fling yourself against the wall, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, the answer has always been at this point is that just head in the sand, because I spent years trying to wake my friends up, for lack of a better term, just because I felt the social need to, right? Like I felt like, if we wake enough people up, people are free, right? If enough people believe that their destiny is up to them and they're in charge of their own country and their own agency, then those people tend to have they're usually free thinking, they're usually more open-minded, they're usually more acceptable to other people doing their thing, but when you get the hive mentality, which is really big nowadays, it's really hard to be yourself, especially if your version of what you think you should be is not the same as everybody else, so you become, and I'm used to being questioned and used to being challenged on my methods, and I never have a problem answering them, because I usually have a good answer for why I'm doing what I'm doing. Just because you haven't thought about why I'm doing what I'm doing doesn't mean I haven't, right? And so anytime, mostly when I was challenged on things, I would usually end up with peers. They'd go like, why are you doing this? And I'd tell them why, and they'd be like, well, can I do it too? Like it made no sense until you answered me. And now that's all I can think about, So I think there's a lot of danger in like the squashing of that and whatnot too. But you know what? I agree with you that like if you have no effect of change, if you don't have an ability to make any change, you shouldn't get involved with things that needed change too. That, because you're gonna get swallowed up in that. You're gonna want to protest. You're gonna want to go to do marches. You're gonna want to have arguments with people that aren't going to change their mind. Because you want to help inform them. So, and then there's the inevitable. You sit down and think about it. Maybe I'm the one who's off this rocker, and everybody else is onto something. And because there's, no one should ever be void of those thoughts. You should always question your own stance and your own, thing. Whether or not it needs questioning, it doesn't matter. You have to question it because it's part of the process, right? You got to put yourself up to task. And if you're not willing to question yourself, you're probably doing something stupid because you know it. That's why you're afraid to ask yourself those questions, But that's, I don't know. It's a good one though. I mean, it's better to stay away, Like you hear me, I talk about Alex Jones once in a while. Mm-hmm. I might listen to Alex Jones 3 or 4 times a year at most. And it's just like a check-in just to see if are things still going that way or are they not? And usually it's just like, it's like calling an old friend. You just want to make sure we're both on the same page still, which is scary. I want the day to turn on Alex Jones and go, oh, this shit's crazy. This is just too much. I don't want to turn it on and go like, it's what I thought it was. All right. See you next month.